Again, as I say every week, I enjoyed writing my message again. Did a lot of reading again. I hope it comes across the way God was revealing in my mind to come across. But I will be reading Mark 14. So if you just turn to Mark 14, I will be in Mark 14 a lot today. Mark 14:8 is the verse. I wanted to say hi to you guys. Welcome back. The Mark 14 is the verse that I will be. That's the verse I'm drawing from mostly today, and it is, "She did what she could. She poured perfume on my body beforehand to prepare me for burial." Now I think when I get to heaven, if I could hear God say, "You did what you could," that will really be all I need to hear. If God's approval on me saying that He knew that I did what I could while I was here on earth. I think we feel sometimes that if we were smarter, or if we were stronger, or if we felt more comfortable in front of people, maybe we would do more. I try always to push and encourage people to be the best that they can be. I see potential in everyone, and I want them to feel as though they are living up to their full potential. At times, though, we can only do what we feel we can do. Sometimes you just feel like there's only so much I can do. But this verse says, she did what she could do. Sometimes maybe we try to overreach, and really all we need to do is just do what you can do. That, like I said, is really all I think I'll need to hear when I get to heaven, is you did what you could do. At the beginning of chapter 14 of Luke, the chief priests and the teachers of the law were up to no good. They had other ulterior motives that they were thinking of. And in Mark 14:1 and 2, it says, "Now the Passover and the festival of unleavened bread were only 2 days away, and the chief priests and the teachers of the law were scheming to arrest Jesus secretly and kill him. But not during the festival," they said, "or the people may riot." Okay, have you ever known you were right about something and everyone was telling you was wrong? My example here is from at work. A lot of times the boss will come in and say, "Things aren't working this way. We're going to switch it up. I want it done this way." But at that moment that he makes that decision, you're the only one there. And he says, "From this day forward, we're doing it this way." And so you start doing it that way. And then other people come around and start doing it the other way, and you say, "No, we're doing it this way now." They're like, "Who made you the boss?" "Well, the boss told me we're doing it this way now." "You don't know what you're talking about. We've done it this way for years. This is how we do it. This is how we're going to continue to do it." But the boss came in and said, "No, we're doing it this way." Sometimes you know what's right and you're still being made to do it wrong. In a way, this is how I think Jesus felt. Things were changing and nobody but Jesus knew it. No matter what he said or no matter how many parables he told or tried to help people to understand, they still didn't know what he knew. No matter how much Jesus would put into other words to try to explain, things are changing. People still, they would listen and people followed him, but they still, I don't think, completely got it. This truly was a different time for Jesus. Jesus knew just how much they didn't understand, and he also knew something else they didn't. He knew the chief priests and the teachers of the law were plotting to kill him. I read something about that, but I'll just go on because I'll get off on a rabbit trail. It can be very frustrating when you know things are changing and no one will listen to you when you try to explain to them things are going to be different. I can't imagine how Jesus felt at this time. That is Just like I was saying, just at work, sometimes things can get heated when you're trying to say, the boss just told me we're doing it this way. And people just, even to Jesus, people just don't want to listen sometimes. They get in a rut. We've done things this way. I think you misunderstood. He wouldn't change it. Things ain't going to be different. And you can get so heated over something, and it could really just be something small. But in Jesus' case, it was a big thing that was going to change. Sometimes, though, there's that one person that comes along, and even though they still don't know what you know, they try their best to be understanding. And in Mark 14:3, while Jesus was in Bethany, reclining at a table in the home of Simon the leper, a woman came with an alabaster jar, a very expensive perfume made of pure nard. She broke the jar and poured the perfume on his head. What an example. What examples can you think of where people did what they could with what they had? Just what they had. I have two stories I want to share with you about people doing what they could for others. One is from a woman, didn't leave a name, so I don't have a name who it's from, but she said that I work with a very sweet woman whose husband passed away after a long battle with cancer 6 years ago. Every year for Christmas, he would get her a Mary Engelbreit daily calendar. The December after he passed, every day that she tore a page off the calendar made her sad because she knew she wouldn't be getting another one. For the last 6 years, I have secretly got her a calendar and left it on her office chair. Now that probably meant the world to that woman. And that was a very small gesture. That never heard of a Mary Engelbreit calendar. I don't know how much they cost, but that's a very small gesture that probably meant the world to that lady. The other story that I have says that his last wish was to give a $500 tip. Aaron Collins passed away just 3 weeks after his 30th birthday, but he left a legacy that has touched thousands of people. One of his final wishes was to give a waiter or waitress a $500 tip. When his brother Seth fulfilled his wish, giving a waitress a $500 tip at Pacini's in Lexington, Kentucky, he recorded a video and put it on YouTube. Within days, the video was viewed over 1 million times, and $30,000 had been donated to continue the cause now known as Aaron's Last Wish. In the video, Collins gave the waitress the $500 tip, explaining that his brother had just passed away and that giving a $500 tip was his final wish. The waitress told him, "I'm going to be telling this story for the rest of my life." Over 100 waitresses have now received a $500 tip, all of which are chronicled on Aaron's Wish website. At first, Collins was only visiting restaurants in Lexington, but he has since given a $500 tip in every state in the U.S. Collins says that people have been programmed to think that good things can happen, and it makes me happy to at least view a few of them and show them that they can. It's amazing, isn't it, how fast nice things catch on. That when you do something nice, people want to be a part of that. As I was telling those stories, I tried to look up as much as possible. When I get to reading, I just read right along. But I wanted to see, and I did look up, and Carol was smiling. You know, people smile when you're talking about good things. Within days, $30,000 had been donated to help the cause. We love to help each other. It happens daily. I found tons of stories just like these two while doing research for this message. So why does the world seem to focus on the negative side of things? just in this little few minutes. When I read these things, you can get uplifted really quick and think, we could do that. We could help somebody. But with the news and the way the world is, we automatically, I shouldn't say automatically, but just by watching the news, you can get drawn into negativity so quick. And in Mark 14, 4 and 5, some of those present were saying indignantly to one another, "Why this waste of perfume? It could have been sold for more than a year's wages and the money given to the poor." And they rebuked her harshly. No matter how much good is going on, somebody's going to say something negative about it. It's been going on for generations. People can take good deeds and turn them into something negative. Isn't it just like human nature sometimes to try to find fault in someone's good deed? Why do you think that is? Where does that even come from? But you remember Job? He did good in the eyes of the Lord, and Satan didn't like it. Satan wanted a chance to show God that Job would turn his back on God if things got rough. Satan will take something good and try to twist it into something bad, and that happens immediately. Satan does not waste time. As soon as something good happens, he's got to squash that immediately. If something good is allowed to if he allows something good to just let it go, something good can grow quickly. Like I said, just in them short few minutes that I read those stories, I could see people's head nodding and smiling. We like good deeds, but Satan will immediately try to squash that. In the case of Mark 14, Jesus is being sought after to be killed. He knows what is about to happen to him, and this woman, not knowing any of what Jesus knows, has a kind enough heart to do this. She was probably no different than any of us, and I bet she was wondering, what are people going to say? Because we know it, don't we? We know someone is going to say something negative. But what does Jesus say in verse 6? Mark 14:6. Jesus says, "Leave her alone. She has done a beautiful thing to me." I love how Jesus will go to battle for us. As quickly as Satan will try to squash something, even before that, Jesus has started going to battle on our behalf. He says, "Leave her alone." He fights for us even when we don't even know it. Some people need answers. Some people need to know how or why did that happen. Why did that person do that for me? How did things end up working out in my favor? I love not knowing how something worked out in my favor. But I guess in my not knowing, I have the answer. Jesus did it. Jesus went to battle for me. There is no good in the world without Jesus. Jesus is love. Small gifts that are given to a friend to help them through the passing of a loved one. That's Jesus. Whether people want to say they believe in Jesus or not, showing love in the manner of a small gift is showing kindness. It's being like Jesus. This woman that did this for Jesus had right motives. She did this for Jesus out of love and compassion for him. I said earlier that she didn't know what Jesus knew, but how much do you think she actually did understand? Sometimes you might not know an answer, but you kind of understand what's going on. Jesus had preached many messages and told plenty of parables, trying to get people to see what his life was for. What was he there for? I think a lot of people kind of understood. Like I said, sometimes you don't have an answer, but you can kind of understand what's going on. A friend will come to you with a problem, and you don't have an answer to give them, but you understand what's going on. I imagine Jesus was the best speaker ever, so I am sure he got his point across. But for us to completely understand, he had to die. Jesus had to die for us to be saved. I think somehow that part of his message got through to this woman, and she did all she could do for Jesus at that moment. What are your motives for Christian service? I ask that question and I can't help but think there's not really a right answer. It's kind of a loaded question, I guess. The world has gotten us to a point that it seems we always have to have an ulterior motive. On the other hand, when we don't have an ulterior motive, we feel as though we have to have a good enough of an explanation as to why we are doing what we are doing to prove ourselves genuine. People are waiting to see, what do you really want? And if you're not really wanting something out of them, they're waiting to see, okay, I need a good enough of an explanation why you're doing this good deed. Either you're wanting something or you need to explain to me why you're doing it. Sometimes people just won't accept a good deed for what it is. When your motives are right, though, Jesus will be there for you. When someone wants to know why you are doing something, or if someone wants to accuse you of having an ulterior motive, just let it go. In some way or another, you can bet Jesus will be there, just like he was for that woman when he said, leave her alone. And I'd kind of like to see that. Jesus overturned the tables in the temple, so he had some sort of, I hate to say anything negative, and sometimes words sound negative, but Jesus did overturn the tables. I wonder how he would have said, leave her alone. I can imagine his demeanor would have been, I would just imagine people would have felt, I better back off, you know. I started this message by saying, this is all I think I'll need to hear when I get to heaven, to feel as though I did what God wanted me to do. Quite honestly, I hope it's true. I hope that I am doing all that I can do. I have one more story I want to share. A friend of mine's dad was a pastor, or is a pastor, and I was trying to remember when I wrote this. It was probably about 10 years ago. His name is Bill, too. Imagine all the Bills. But his dad told me to just be cautious, that people will think you have ulterior motives when you want to be a pastor. He said that he had been told that he would love, that this guy told him that he would love to have a job that only had to work 1 day a week. That people think that, well, you'll become a pastor, you only got to work 1 day a week. You know, he said that he would love to be able to stay home all week and just work on Sunday. And then being in school, my professor has said the same thing, that people in roundabout ways have said, you know, you just want to be a pastor just because it's easy. But listening to both of these men, and now I've preached for a while, been in front of people for a while. I've only been your pastor for a month, but it is not just a 1 day a week job. Just preparing this message, in a way I'm kind of blessed that you only asked me to be here on Sunday, because it takes me all week to do this. I'll get better at it and everything, and I know I will, but people like to think that you have ulterior motives for whatever you're doing. They both had similar experiences and wanted me to know it's not easy. It's not simply a 1 day a week job. It's a life decision. I kind of look at it as though I'm doing what I can right now. I like spending time preparing my messages. I like the reading and the praying, and sometimes just sitting in front of my computer, just often thought. I understand what they were trying to tell me, but for now, I haven't been challenged with the thought of having an ulterior motive, and I simply enjoy doing what I can. I have honestly never thought about what I want on my gravestone, but after writing this message, I think I would like it to say, He hath done what He could. So how about you? What do you feel like God is asking you to do? Are you doing all you could be doing for God, for your church, your family, or your neighbor? Most of the time, God isn't asking us to be superheroes or go off and save the world. Sometimes it's as easy as doing something small for someone, just doing what you can.